Have you ever noticed how silence speaks louder when you stop trying so hard to be seen? When you don't explain yourself, don't chase, don't beg, and yet suddenly he begins to notice you in a way he never did before. That's not magic, that's power, quiet power, and it's time you learn how to use it. There's something deeply attractive about a woman who doesn't move with noise, but moves with purpose. A woman who doesn't fight to prove her worth, but lets her energy do the talking. You see, the truth is this: a man may not always understand what he's feeling, but he will always feel it when a woman shifts her energy. He will sense it in her silence, in her stillness, in her absence. And suddenly, she is no longer the one waiting. She is the one he can't stop thinking about. A wise woman once said, "A lioness doesn't need to roar to remind the jungle who she is." And that's exactly where you're headed, because you're not here to be louder, more dramatic, more available. You're here to be unforgettable. You're here to move differently, softly but strategically, gracefully but firmly. This is not about pretending. This is about mastering your presence without overextending your emotions. Think of the moon. The moon never speaks, yet every tide moves for her. She doesn't demand attention, but night after night, the world stops just to look at her. That's you. You are meant to be the shift he didn't see coming. The calm that disrupts his chaos, the silence that brings clarity. And once he senses that, he will value you, not because you told him to, but because his own spirit recognizes your worth. Right now, maybe you feel exhausted, maybe you feel overlooked, maybe you gave too much to a man who barely gave back. But hear this: the moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you pull your energy back and let your actions speak, that's when everything starts to change. Not just with him, but within you. And this is where we crown you, not because of your volume, but because of your value. You are not just a woman waiting to be chosen. You are a queen in training, learning to lead with elegance and power. And in this next part of your journey, I'm going to show you the 10 silent moves that make him value you instantly. Get ready, Queen, because your silence is about to say everything. If this message touched something deep inside you, if it reminded you of the quiet power you've always had but forgot how to use, then show your love by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We're working hard to create real, honest, and life-changing content just for you, because every queen deserves to be reminded of her worth, her strength, and her silent glow that turns heads without ever having to raise her voice. Number 1. Silence. After his disrespect isn't passive. It's the loudest boundary you'll ever set. Have you ever seen a man freeze, not because you screamed, not because you cried, but because you said nothing at all? That moment right there, that's the moment he realizes he crossed a line he can't uncross. Silence after his disrespect is not weakness, and it's never surrender. It's the quiet roar that shakes the ground he thought he stood steady on. When you stop explaining, stop pleading, stop reacting, that's when he finally hears the echo of what he broke. Because the loudest boundary you'll ever set is the one you set with your absence. You don't need to slam the door. You don't need to write long messages explaining your worth. That's what he expects. He's used to women proving, explaining, trying to fix. But you're different now. You let the silence speak, because silence is clarity. Silence is closure. Silence is power. There's a saying, still waters run deep, And a woman who goes quiet after being disrespected, she's not cold, she's done. Like a flame that stops burning when the oxygen is gone, your silence tells him the fire won't warm him anymore. And once that warmth is gone, he'll start reaching. He'll feel the cold in ways words could never explain. Think of a hallway full of closed doors. One slams and it startles, but one quietly shuts and locks. That's the one he stands in front of, knocking, pacing, regretting. That's the power of silence. It lingers, it whispers, it holds weight, and when used after disrespect, it becomes unforgettable. Maybe you're tired, lovely woman, tired of having to teach the same lessons, tired of being misunderstood, tired of being too loud just to be heard. But hear this truth. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by too little. And now, you don't lower your volume. You elevate your standards. That's where queens are born, not in noise, but in grace. So to every beautiful lady listening, this is your moment. Stop giving him the version of you that explains, that fixes, that stays. Instead, show him the version that walks away without warning. That version, she's unforgettable. Write this in the comments and claim it. My silence is my boundary. My silence is my power. Let the world know you've stopped breaking yourself to make others comfortable. And if this message opened your eyes and reminded you that quiet doesn't mean weak, it means unshakable, then like this video and subscribe to the channel. We are here, working hard to create real, life-changing lessons for queens like you. Your time is now. Rule it. Number 2. When you stop competing, he starts comparing. Have you ever looked at him and thought, what does she have that I don't? That silent war within yourself, the comparing, the competing, the wondering if you're enough, it starts to eat you alive. You scroll through his likes. You catch yourself analyzing her smile, her style, her presence, like maybe you're in some kind of invisible race. But here's the truth that hurts before it heals. The moment you stop competing with her is the moment he starts comparing her to you. And nothing is louder than the silence of a woman who no longer plays the game. He didn't expect you to walk away from the race. He thought you'd stay in it forever, trying harder, proving more, shrinking yourself just to be seen. But the second you chose peace over performance, the whole energy changed. You stopped adjusting your crown for someone who couldn't see your worth. And now, he can't stop looking back. When a flower blooms, it doesn't compare itself to the one beside it. It just grows. That's you now. You're not standing on a stage. You are the entire spotlight. You are no longer fighting for his attention. You've become the silence that haunts his attention. And no matter how much he smiles next to her, something starts to feel off. Because when a man has experienced real depth, surface level won't satisfy him. When he has felt the strength of a woman who stood tall without screaming for love, he will always feel the emptiness in what comes next. Think of a diamond placed beside glitter. At first, the sparkle of glitter distracts, but over time, it fades. It washes off. It sticks to everything but holds no value. Meanwhile, the diamond remains, rare, solid, unmatched. You were never the glitter. You were always the gem. And the moment you stop competing with what was never your competition, he begins to see that too. Slowly, then all at once. This is where you rise, not to prove, not to chase, but to remember who you are. You are not the backup plan. You are not the second option. You are the one he'll compare every woman to, and none will measure up. Queens, write this in the comments and claim it. I stopped competing, now he's comparing. Say it like a promise to yourself. Say it like a line he'll never forget. We're here working every day to create real, life-changing lessons, because your worth was never meant to compete. It was meant to reign. Number 3. The day you don't call. First is the day he realizes who's always been reaching. Have you ever wondered what really shifts a man's heart? It's not the words you send. It's not the endless efforts to hold his attention. It's the day you go silent, the day you don't call first. That's when it hits him. That's when he realizes who was always reaching, always initiating, always caring just a little more. It's not the absence of a message that stings. It's the absence of your presence that lingers. That day, that's the shift. That's the silent move that makes him stop, think, and feel something he didn't expect. Regret. When you stop calling, you're no longer just a voice on the other end. You become a question in his mind, a space that suddenly feels empty. And that silence? It isn't cold, it's powerful. Because a woman who pulls back her energy without warning is a woman who just rewrote the entire script. You don't need to explain. You don't need to beg. Your stillness becomes the mirror, and he's left staring into his own reflection, finally seeing who was giving and who was just receiving. There's an old saying, when a flower doesn't bloom, you don't fix the flower, you fix the environment. Maybe you've been blooming in soil that never appreciated you. Maybe you've been pouring sunshine into someone who only noticed when it stopped. But the moment you remove your warmth, that's when he feels the cold. That's when he realizes the fire wasn't in his hands. It was in yours all along. Imagine a beautiful rhythm in a song, the kind that plays softly in the background, unnoticed until it suddenly stops. That silence feels louder than the music ever did. That's what happens when you stop calling first. You don't fade, you echo, and your silence becomes the song he can't forget. Lovely woman, you don't need to reach out just to remind him you exist. You exist in his thoughts the moment he realizes the calls have stopped. The texts are missing, and that gentle, loyal energy, gone. That's when the value of your presence becomes crystal clear. That's when the man who once took your consistency for granted starts wondering how he ever lived without it. So rise, let your silence do the talking, and don't mistake this pause for weakness. It's a turning point. You're not retreating, you're reclaiming, you're not waiting, you're watching, and you're about to teach him that the woman who once called first has become the woman he no longer has access to. Affirm this in the comments, Queens. The day I stopped calling first is the day he realized my worth. Type it, feel it, live it. We are working every day to bring you real, raw, and life-changing lessons, because beautiful queens like you were never meant to beg. You were born to reign. Number 4. When you walk away without a scene, you become his favorite what if. Have you ever noticed how quiet exits leave the deepest echo? How the loudest lessons are taught without raising your voice, without slamming the door, without explaining a single thing. He expected a breakdown. He expected drama, tears, maybe a long paragraph telling him how badly he hurt you. But instead, you just left. No noise, no final words, just silence. And that's exactly why it's haunting him now. Because when a woman walks away without a scene, she doesn't just leave the room. She stays in his mind. She becomes the question that never finds an answer, the memory that doesn't fade, the moment that replays late at night when the lights are off and her presence is missing. He doesn't realize it at first, but over time, he starts to feel it. the softness that's no longer there, the energy that once surrounded him, and the silence, that becomes the loudest regret. As the old saying goes, the strongest storms are silent before they break. And you, beautiful woman, became the storm he never saw coming. You didn't need to scream to be heard. You didn't need to prove your pain. You simply chose peace over performance. And that choice made you unforgettable. Think of a rose garden. When the petals are picked carelessly, the garden doesn't cry. It closes itself, protects its roots, and blooms somewhere safer. You were that garden. You gave your love freely. You nurtured something real. But when he stopped watering it, when he stopped noticing the beauty right in front of him, you didn't beg him to stay. You let the silence grow, and in that quiet, you bloomed somewhere he could no longer reach. This is not about punishment, it's about power. The kind of power that moves quietly, the kind that doesn't need validation to be real. You are not weak for walking away without a fight. You are wise, you are evolving, you are rising. So, lovely woman, say this with your whole chest. I leave in silence, and I am remembered in echoes. Write this in the comments if it speaks to your spirit, and let the world know that you don't chase closure, you become it. And if this message reminded you of your worth, if it helped you remember who you are and who you're becoming, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to bring you these life-changing lessons because you weren't born to beg, dear woman. You were born to rule. Number 5. Your glow. Without his name attached is the reminder, he didn't make you. Have you ever noticed how fast he forgets the version of you he once had access to until he sees you shine without him? Until he scrolls past your picture and sees that glow in your eyes, the one that doesn't need his name beside it anymore. That glow he once thought he owned now burns brighter than ever, and this time it has nothing to do with him. That's when it hits him. He didn't create your light. He just stood next to it for a while. Some men get so comfortable with your presence, they forget your power. They start believing your love is theirs by default, that your smile only exists for their comfort. But the moment you step away, the moment your joy is no longer tied to his behavior, that's when the shift begins. He sees your happiness without his input, your confidence without his compliments, your peace without his presence. And suddenly, he doesn't feel so powerful anymore. There's a quote that says, "She remembered who she was, and the game changed." And that's exactly what this moment is. You're no longer asking for his approval. You're no longer giving him credit for the strength that's always lived inside you. Because now you're becoming something dangerous, a woman who glows for herself. Think of a garden blooming in silence after the storm. The rain came, the winds tested everything, and yet, without a single word, the flowers returned brighter. That's you. He thought walking away would wither you, but now he sees you flourishing in ways he never expected. You didn't just heal, you evolved. And now, lovely woman, this is where you shift from heartbreak to high ground. You're not here to prove anything. You're not waiting for him to notice. You're showing, not telling. That smile on your face, that glow in your energy, that silence he didn't take seriously. It's now the loudest reminder that he was never your source. He was just a chapter in your story. So let him watch. Let him wonder how you became more radiant without him, because you did. And queens, let this be your reminder. Your glow was never his to claim. it was always yours to protect. Write this affirmation in the comments and claim it. My glow is mine, and no one else gets to dim it. We're working hard to bring you powerful, life-changing lessons, because every queen deserves to rise in silence and reign in power. Number 6. When you stop explaining your worth, he's forced to learn it the hard way. Have you ever noticed how tired your voice becomes when you're constantly trying to prove your worth to someone who already should have seen it? How draining it feels to explain, to remind, to repeat the truth of who you are, hoping he finally gets it. But here's the thing. The moment you stop explaining is the moment he starts learning. Not gently, not easily, but painfully. Because silence forces reflection, and when your voice goes quiet, his mind starts shouting. You've been pouring into him, showing up, holding space, over-explaining things that should have been obvious. Your effort, your loyalty, your love. But queens, love doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't chase recognition. It doesn't explain itself to a man who isn't ready to receive it. When a woman finally stops justifying her heart, that's when the man who overlooked her starts feeling the weight of everything he lost. The less you say, the more he hears. And that's not just a saying, it's a fact. Silence, when paired with strength, is a storm in disguise. It teaches him the lessons your words never could. When you stop reminding him who you are, he starts remembering who you were. And once he starts remembering, he begins to realize how deeply he underestimated you. Think of a song. At first, it's played over and over, background noise, taken for granted. But the moment it disappears from the playlist, the silence hits different. That's when he starts humming your melody from memory, not because he wants to, but because it's embedded in him now. You were the rhythm, you were the warmth, and now, without you, everything feels cold. The truth is, he won't learn through your presence, he'll learn through your absence, and when he does, he won't forget. Because the most powerful lesson a man ever gets is not a lecture. It's watching the woman he once had grow into someone he can't reach anymore. Lovely woman, you are not here to explain your soul to someone who didn't protect it. You are not here to convince a man to value what was freely given. From this moment on, your silence will teach, your distance will speak, and your glow will be the reminder of what he could have had. Affirm this in the comments, queens. My silence teaches what my words never could. Type it, claim it, and let it be known. You are done explaining. You are done chasing. You are rising. We're working hard to bring you life-changing lessons that awaken the queen within. Your voice may rest, but your worth will echo forever. Number 7. The day you're unavailable is the day he starts thinking long-term. Have you ever noticed how he pays the most attention the moment you stop giving all of yours? It's strange, isn't it? You were always there, available, supportive, ready to listen, ready to show up, and yet it didn't make him value you more. It only made him comfortable. But the day you became unavailable, everything shifted. That's not a coincidence. That's a trigger. Because nothing wakes a man up faster than realizing access to you is no longer guaranteed. He was used to your presence, used to your check-ins, used to knowing you'd reply. But now, your silence lingers. Now, your time isn't so easy to reach. Now, he's wondering what changed. That uncertainty, that space you created, it sparks something real in him. Because a man doesn't value what's always within reach. He values what he feels he's losing. And on the day you stopped showing up for him the way you always did, he started asking himself questions he never asked before. As the old saying goes, distance teaches appreciation, and that's exactly what you've done without a single word, because your value doesn't scream. It whispers in the space he no longer knows how to fill. Think of a rare flower. If it blooms every day, people stop noticing. But when it disappears, when it suddenly blooms in a different garden, one that respects it, protects it, it becomes unforgettable. That's you now. You've stopped blooming where you weren't watered, and the absence of your presence now holds more weight than your constant giving ever did. You see, there is a difference between being ignored and being unavailable. One comes from him. The other, that's your choice. And the moment you chose yourself, your energy shifted. You became the woman who no longer waits for him to see your worth. You became the woman he now fears losing for good. That's the moment he starts thinking long-term. Not because you asked, but because he finally understands what's at stake. And now, dear woman, it's time to stop apologizing for pulling back. You've earned the right to protect your peace, your time, your heart. You've stopped making room for a man who didn't make space for your presence. That's not rejection, that's redirection. And queens don't chase attention, they command respect. Write this in the comments and claim it. My absence creates the clarity my presence never could. Say it, feel it, own it, because you are no longer proving anything. You are becoming everything. And if this message stirred something inside you, if it reminded you of the power of becoming unavailable, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're here, working hard to bring you the kind of life-changing lessons that remind every queen exactly who she is.